Video and audio. I'll sit up straight.
I still do this though.
Good evening. I'm calling to order this September 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Corden Historic Preservation Commission. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first order of business on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the meeting of August 5th. Has everyone had a chance to review those? And do
correct? One correction. Dawn Bishop, my name was Dawn Bishop, and Jamie, that was to be replaced.
well, that was on the last.
So that was the old, I'm sorry, it is on the old one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been studying all day. I'll make a motion, accept these.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Mark, should I sign this copy that I have in front of me?
Yeah. Taylor, if you please attest to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story.
The next item on the agenda is the application for 221 East Chestnut Street for the old Moose Lodge. We've got Jason Lawyer with Indiana Home Pro.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Good job. So I spoke to Miss Laura, and then she communicated to Mark. She basically spells out what we're wanting to do. There's a picture in there for reference. So we're pretty simple. Believe me, Mark, I have plenty to go around.
Give it to Bruce later.
So I did get a chance to talk to Miss Laura, and she had some basic questions regarding our initial permit request. And so I kind of referenced that, just off of a picture of the actual building there. And she had, I mean, you guys are familiar with this, she had great interest in maintaining existing architecture, of course. So we're agreeable to that 100%. All the dental work, all the window mantles, the majority of all that will be left untouched, just freshened out, different colors and things of that nature.
It's a big red.
What was that?
It's an overnight delivery for bills to the town for
Gotcha.
utilities.
Gotcha. Our main interest will be, and I'm just kind of like go over some of those notes quickly. The four windows on the second story there. I talked to Laura about them. When I used the word vinyl, she didn't love it, but when I told her what we were looking to do, she at least made me feel like we would be okay doing that. We want to do those in a black. She said what was important to her is to maintain that grid pattern, which is just a single mullion bar down the middle of the top and bottom sash.
I looked at them, they look like they're in pretty rough shape too.
They're probably like early 80s, I would guess.
Yeah.
So they definitely need attention. And, you know, we're replacing them with better than what they are now, but obviously I respect that they're not wood windows. But if we can do the vinyl trick, that would be appreciated. And then she wanted currently it has a porcelain tiled exterior that she felt like has been there long enough to where it should be left alone. So we're agreeable to that. I did mention to her that we didn't really care for the color. She said you can paint away. But I'm paraphrasing, of course, but, she wanted the tiles to remain, so we're fine with that. The biggest change that we were asked your permission to make, on the first floor, there are two, commercial style shop windows that are there now. We would like to stay within that footprint, but convert that into an overhead door feature. And her request there, and I'm speaking for her, I don't know Ms. Lawyer, but Mark asked me to make sure I had a conversation with her, so, but she said what would be important to her is that the bottom of that door appeared as an original kick panel, similar to what you see there now. But staying inside of that footprint. She made a comment to the tune of, well, if someone ever wanted to revert it back to what it had been originally, we're not messing with the original architecture, so that would be easy enough to do. So that's our big request, is to convert those windows into an overhead door feature. So there would be two of those. The current bulkhead configuration, the width and the height of which we don't want to change that, but we would like to, if we can, bump that out some foot and a half, so that that bulkhead is a little bit more exaggerated. So that would be a request for you guys if we could do something like that. The two entry doors that are there currently, we do not intend to at this time replace those. Mostly just paint those and leave them as are. And then the trim detail that's in like a green color scheme now, a lot of that would be accented in a cedar feature. There's quite a list that I've given to you of other things. Mark told me to just mention everything that we had interest in doing, so I've kind of done that. But
I was gonna ask, what kind of cedar feature?
so some of the trims that are there now, around that green area, you can see like around those doors that we're wanting to change into overhead doors, and then the trims that outline the bulkhead, we would like to do those in the cedar. Rather than a painted finish, it would be a cedar look finish. We're kind of referencing things that we've seen like in downtown Indianapolis. I looked through my phone because I know I have a snapshot of it and I couldn't find it. But some of that downtown Indy, there's several buildings that we're kind of referencing, pulling from. And then I've seen a lot of it down in Nashville and such. Just kind of that black, white cedar is just a really, really neat look. So we would like to bring that in if we can.
What are you gonna do on the other entrance on the Mulberry side besides paint over that?
We haven't really given it a whole lot of thought, just know that we would probably like to paint over there. Nothing really planned there, Mark.
So you said you're gonna, I guess, maintain the studio apartment above? What are you gonna do?
What's there now, they have two-bedroom apartments. Kind of interesting floor plan that they have now. So the one that faces Chestnut, that has the 4 windows that you see in the picture, that one we're keeping as a 2-bedroom. But some of the other, that's currently a 2-bedroom, big hallway feature and such, we would like to convert that more to like a 1-bedroom. And then I say a studio, but I don't know that we would actually ever rent that piece.
What's your plans for the main level?
Mexican restaurant and a vape shop is what I keep telling everybody.
Vape shop?
That's a bad joke.
Okay. We need another Mexican restaurant.
Vape.
Vape shop, okay, I like a vape shop. I'm like,
Okay,
So I figure we need more of both of those.
I mean, you
We don't, it's not defined. We don't really know yet.
Part of this, just so you all know, is also to help covering, because he's gonna have to do a lot of work upstairs and downstairs for whatever he wants to do, and of course, it's in the floodplain. So,
So we don't know what this is gonna be?
no, but it doesn't
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
matter.
For our purposes.
No, I was just kind of,
But, we have to approve.
Yeah, because if you want to, you want to extend the bulkhead.
Well, it's a non-original bulkhead, so it's, even though the building's rated contributing,
Yeah, no, I was just like,
well, I'm just laying out for the record that it looks like all the stuff that Jason is asking to change has already been changed. So that this, the cornice or bulkhead is non-original, so it's, that part's already gone. And, it looks like Laura had encouraged you, just in regard to the overhead doors to, as you said, keep not just the same footprint, but the lower part not being a window, and it seems that you've agreed to that. So were we to approve this, windows have been ever the controversy, but these are not the historic windows. These are old windows. My perspective on this is if we aren't making a property less historically relevant, then I don't mind the change. That's been my position on all these matters. Trying to maintain the history where it exists and where it doesn't, trying to stay out of your hair as much as we can. Reasonableness being considered.
Right.
But I didn't see in here anything that I found concerning. As to the issue of painting, just because we went to that last time and we did approve the painting of the mural on the library on masonry, even though our guidelines prohibit or strongly discourage that. This would be a similar issue in that we ended up approving that because that was in addition to the library. It was built also, I believe, in the 80s and was not original brick, so we didn't approve the painting of historic masonry materials. In this case, they are not original, and Laura said, with that in mind, it wouldn't be as big an issue for us to approve. The same thing with the cornice or bulkhead. So Jason, you're talking about where it says Cord and Moose Lodge, and you're talking about
Yes,
popping that out.
yes.
what about the lights above?
You know, just get ready to ask that.
Yeah.
We think they're pretty charming, so we'll probably look to repurpose those. None of them are functional now.
So those would then have to be replaced.
We would like to rebuild them.
Could you spray paint them in black?
I honestly think they're brass.
Are they black?
I'm pretty sure that they are, so the piece where they're mounted to the building themselves, that piece will just need to be bumped out and reworked, but that's,
What year was this? I thought that is brass.
I'm pretty sure it's
Because
brass.
I'm finding in my home here in town, was built similar time, and we're finding tons and tons of things that are brass.
We would like to know for sure, but we suspect that, I kind of think on them, I'm pretty sure they're brass, so.
That would be really neat to see.
Jason, you didn't discuss the removal of those when you talked to Laura, did you?
I don't really want to remove them.
Okay.
I think that we'll just have, if we are able to do the bulkhead cornice, if we're able to build, we don't want to build it out big. We would like to accent that a little bit. Those would also need to be bumped out with in that regard.
Okay. So you would still be using the same lights?
We would like to.
Okay.
Maybe just like rebuild the mechanics inside them, but I think, I actually really like those.
Okay. You said rebuild the mechanics. They aren't gas lights, are they?
No, they're electric,
Okay,
but it's just 2-wire electric in there, so.
gotcha.
Have you gutted that building?
We tore out a lot of garbage. We haven't gutted it, but we tore out a lot of garbage. There's a lot more garbage to tear out.
I can imagine.
We have, to this point, we finally got the new roof put on the back of it. And we tore out quite a bit upstairs and a lot of the old wet carpets and stuff that are all gone.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah, what new roof?
It's been a long time since I was up there.
What new roof on this too?
Yeah, there's a request about the roof, but I think Laura mentioned it not being visible from the public way.
Sorry, I've been watching the news, Rachel.
And Jason, so I understand that the new gutters you would put up are not going to obscure any architectural features?
Well, they're on the back of the building, and down the side of where they currently have that forestry scene.
Mhm.
Both sides of that part are guttered, and then the back of this building is guttered, but there are no gutters on the front.
Okay, so you are going to put one on the front?
No.
Okay,
No.
so it's consistent with how they exist now, basically? Or you're-
Exactly.
Okay.
So I have a question, this is purely out of my curiosity. Are you gonna remove cool or use large?
But yes. I do have a question, outside of what I have talked about so far. The placard that identifies the building as a
Main
public
Street.
building. Is there any protocol for when we will take that down, but then look to reinstall? Is there anything there that I need to know about or I don't wanna,
I was on Main Street for 33 years, and I helped institute all that. And if you do a facade improvement, you take that off, but you put it back
that we would wanna put
Yeah.
it back. I just,
in a place where people can see it.
nobody's gonna come around and give me a ticket for taking it down or anything.
I will. Yeah.
And so Jason, on bumping out that cornice, that's not going to cause any part of the building to stick further out onto the sidewalk, is it? It's just purely visual above?
It would project over the sidewalk some amount, yes, but not the building per se.
Okay. So it doesn't change the footprint of the building?
And that's a request, if that's not doable, it's not gonna wear me out too bad, but we would like to do that if we can.
It's, Laura contemplates it in her comments. I wish she was here to advise us, but she doesn't say anything negative about it and also indicates that it's non-original. Were it original, I personally would have a bigger concern, but with it not being original, it's much less. That's been a kind of a bright line for us, altering original versus not. Does anyone have any questions for Jason or any comments on this?
I just have a question about the Mulberry Street side. I know it's not in contention or anything tonight. What are you gonna do with that? Leave it the same?
Did you say, what are we gonna do with it?
No, leave it painted?
No. I don't want to. I want you to tell me not a problem.
I just know Dookie Royce painted, had to pay for it.
Who paid for it?
Dookie Royce, Gilbon Royce, Dookie paid for that.
My only comment is that, I agree with Laura about not doing anything to the tiles. Everything is.
Are you talking about the tile?
About painting it?
That's great.
Yeah, but not really.
Oh, well, I think Jason's not planning to remove it, but is planning to paint it.
But she said that was,
Okay, she wouldn't object to it if we approved it.
Right.
Gotcha.
right.
So the tile would stay, it just would be painted, and it's not original masonry.
That's something that would be such a difficult for the next person to remove.
I presume tile is not porous. Our architecture expert is not here today.
She's in Australia.
I showed Fred
I meant Craig, but he was telling us about painting different kinds of masonry.
that, I showed this to him, and he said that kind of tile looks like settler tile, that, it's not porous. He said, actually, and this would be for your knowledge, you'll have an issue with it peeling. But it's not porous. That's why you have the issue with peeling, because it just kind of compels everything.
Janet, did you say Laura's in Australia?
She's in Australia.
Oh,
I think so.
well, that's a neat trip. I must have missed the email.
I'm pretty sure.
Does anyone have any further comments on this one, or questions, concerns?
No, approve as, just that we approve as written.
You make a motion to that effect? Is there a second?
I do have one question. Are there still, planter boxes out front?
Janet, there are, and so I do know that to be, and listen, we're not doing anything right away.
Okay, well, if you are not going to use them, they belong to Main Street, so they could be put in front of another building elsewhere. So you can buy them down in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
So, just contact Main Street. I help with all that too, so. Costs a lot of money to buy out.
I think there are two of them.
There should be two of them,
I
because
think
I
there are
painted
two of
them.
them.
I painted them a couple of times myself. Okay.
And so Angie makes a motion, Janet seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jason.
So what's next? I come to see Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put together a CLA and a building permit. Two pieces. I might have them tomorrow, but I'll call you there. Actually, you can just wait and I'll have them ready and whenever you come in, do the other, pick up the other permit.
Okay.
So I'll just call you and you can come do it all.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jason.
Jason. Good to
Have
see
a
you
good day.
again.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
And our next item on the agenda is for 624 Farquhar Avenue. And are you Melanie or Kathy?
I'm Melanie.
Okay.
My mom is Kathy, and she's currently up in New York, and she and I bought the house together just last year.
Melanie, if you wouldn't mind, could you move, either stand up there or move to one of these chairs, just because
Probably
the
here.
the microphone's up there. You don't have to stand.
Here? Okay. My mom and I bought the house last year, and eventually she moved down with me. So it is a permanent residence, and it's hopefully our forever home. That's what we're.
You like it so far?
I love it, and I love Gordon. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm
love it.
so glad. So glad.
So this house, we ran into some stumbling blocks. Our goal is to bring it back to as close to possible of what could have been. We absolutely love it. We want to bring back the corbels and anything. The first thing we have to do is remove the aluminum siding. And any shadows will be documented, any like corbels. The lentils are still there. Thankfully, they boxed them in, so I was able to discover they're still there, but they will need repair work. Corbels will be brought back. Anything that would have been decorative, if you see any type of shadow, like in the gables maybe, we're going to document and take pictures and try our best to bring something in Corydon that looks similar to back to it. Now, the problem we ran into is in removing of the aluminum siding, what's underneath is lead-based paint. And I mean, contractors ran from me. They're like, we don't want to touch it, don't want to touch it. You have to have a licensed abatement contractor in. So we called several, Laura gave me a list. I called several, got a hold of finally one gentleman that would come in and take the aluminum siding off for us. But when it got to the lead-based paint underneath, there's only two ways he would go. One would be to encapsulate, which he would do a wet scrape and then paint over it and encapsulate it, and then our contractors could move forward on the rest of the work, like the roof and the porch and everything. But the concern I have is after walking downtown and looking at several houses, when they encapsulate, you'll see every piece of paint that was left on there. So it's not gonna look clean, it would look messy. And I'm like, I don't want that for the house, I really don't. So the only other option he was suggesting and what he would do was take the clapboard off and then I would have to replace it. However, when you take the clapboard off, you're gonna be right down to the studs because houses back then weren't enclosed or framed out. So the contractor would have to come in, put insulation in the walls, frame it out, and then put new siding on. When I talked to Laura about it, we discussed the option. We thought we were gonna do more cedar clapboard on top and make it look authentic. However, when we found out the price for wood clapboard, it was through the roof, and it was like, that's just, it's double James Hardie board. So we went back to James Hardie board as the clapboard, and as much as I would like to go historic and keep it clapboard, we just can't afford the expense of putting cedar back on. It's just a financial thing, we just couldn't do it. So the clapboard would be, we're asking if we can get approved for the James Hardy board. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And we've done, the house on Chestnut, Lori Short and Bates, they got down to the same problem, and we put the Hardy board on there. But it looked just like siding. I mean, it just looked really good. And it finished, so we did options. Yeah, that's been several years ago.
We've approved hardy board every time someone
Yeah.
requested to use it.
Okay,
So it's like you said, not the ideal material, but one that's sufficient, that meets the practical issues. So Laura recommended approval with a couple qualifications, that square post should be used on the front porch based on the photographic evidence, and that your hardy board should be the smooth finish without the inlaid grain texture.
I was gonna ask about that because I saw her comment and I thought she would want to go with the wood texture to make it authentic, look like wood, or is that?
It's because the wood grain's exaggerated and doesn't really look like real wood grain once you paint it. It's kind of
Okay,
overdone. I can't say I'm personally real aware of the distinction, but I talked about that with Laura, and that was her
Okay.
perspective on the wood grain issue.
so it needs to be smooth then, okay.
And then, of course, preserving historic trim details, as you already mentioned, and attempting to reestablish elements that have been removed if possible. As Laura mentioned, in the style of the house, I think she called it the folk Victorian, and said that it would, there are architectural embellishments that would have been done with basically mass-produced materials. So anything you would do to restore those would be consistent with the guidelines. And then I think Laura's only other caveat is that for the porch elements, wood should be used for the.
Yes, and that's what we would do. Anything like, if there's any repair work that needs to be done around the windows, we will do wood. Any repair work on decorative will all be wood. It's just the siding, we would go with hardy board because that was the big issue. But everything else will be wood.
You have no idea how much it tickles me to death when you take this back to what it used to be.
I'm excited.
That's what we've
I
been
love that.
doing in our home. And it is the biggest thrill, but I love.
You can't see the colors on your printout, but
Oh,
you can use that.
I found colors. Where is this gonna go?
Okay, that color is going to be an accent color. So when I say accent, very lightly, like if you look at the one where the, like right here, would be like something like that. Or just very hint of it. I don't want a lot because it's gonna get too busy. But yeah, it would be very hint. So this would be the base, and this would be all your trim, and this rockwood, we talked about putting up right up here.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be very Victorian, yes.
And then these two are accents, and then we'll very carefully put them in, and I'll be working with Laura on that too, to see what her suggestions are. What?
Vertical.
I haven't thought of that up there. What we did think of up there, because the next door neighbor has the
Yes,
scallops,
this is what I was gonna say.
I was thinking scallops up there.
Lazy scallops.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think Laura mentioned something about an adjacent property having similar architectural features that you could use as sort of a template, if that's what you're referencing.
Yes, this next door neighbor. The house, the blue house next to us, that was built in 1860 by Harbin Applegate for his daughter. And then my house was built for his second wife in 1890. So there was some elements that Betty mentioned, and it was Betty Buchanan who mentioned that there was some similarities, but the blue house had a lot more decorative trim compared to my house. But trying to pull in some elements from the house next door.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yay.
Very excited for you.
So do we have a motion on the application to approve subject to Laura's conditions being wood on the new front porch elements, that square post be used on the
Square
porch,
post,
and a smooth finish hardwood?
Make a motion.
I'm sorry, I have one question though. A railing, there was some discussion that Laura talked about not having a railing. I think the only reason we thought like railing was the look, with a railing with some spindles. The post would be square. She got a better picture. She must have pulled it off the computer because I noticed that the one she had at the post, I was like, oh, that is square. Okay. We would go square, but the railing, to me, a railing would add charm to it, but I don't know if that's would have been original or on there. I haven't, even the house next door, they have a railing, but it's all solid. And I feel like, if they ever took it off, we might have an idea of what it was. But what
I
are,
believe that would have been rounded top.
but I think I don't know if she commented, there was a comment about the railing.
I read something today on that.
Where did it go?
Where's the comments?
Taylor's telling me that Laura recommended no railing.
If,
She didn't want
if it's
railing
not required.
Unless it was absolutely necessary.
Right.
I think legally it's not necessary because the ground is close, the porch isn't a big drop. And the only reason we mentioned railing was because there isn't that great of a drop. The guideline for a railing can be lower than if it was, I think, above 30-inch drop between the porch and the ground. The railing has to be 34 to 36 inches high. Because it's not that big of a drop, the railing can be set down lower. And that was our thought was, okay, the next door house has a railing and it's closed in. What if we just did a railing with spindles and had it lower?
My opinion on it is because there's a porch there that it's already been dramatically altered. And so if you wanted a railing, I wouldn't have any objection to it because you aren't removing a historic element. I would encourage you to listen to Laura's suggestions because she always has reasons for them.
Okay.
But does the rest of the board feel the same? No objection either way?
Either way,
Mark, do you know, is there anything in building codes that says that there's some sort of,
I think it was mainly what you said, it's like for
Yeah, Andrew,
insurance
that letter,
for insurance purposes
Excuse me?
or,
Andrew would know that better than me.
I just think for insurance purposes, sometimes they'll want a handrail anytime you have steps with it. So since it's lower to the ground, it's probably not required or a minimal, like you said. So, but the only time for insurance purposes, sometimes like a VA loan will require a handrail going up steps. But with it being low to the ground, that would be the only reason why I can think that make it a requirement and it would only be for the steps, not necessarily for the surrounding porch. But yeah, I'd say it's just to your preference.
The guideline here just says if adding a handrail to a porch or stoop that did not previously have one, install it in a manner that will minimize damage to or loss of historic fabric. Consider mounting the handrail in the ground adjacent to the steps rather than drilling into the historic stone steps, for example. That's the only thing it says here.
I think, if they're keeping in the same vein of appearance as the house next door that has that, then I don't have a problem with it.
It's a safety issue.
Yeah.
With that all in mind, do we have a motion to approve subject to Laura's requirements previously mentioned?
And the paint and all, yes, I'll make that motion.
I think so.
So does
We're all there, yes, we will.
all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Can I come by and see you someday?
Oh, please, yes, I would love it.
I used to live next door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the 610 North Park Road.
Okay,
The one with Cuba.
yes.
When I was married to my husband, my first husband at that, and we lived there for 9 months. Before we left Chestnut Street. I used to ride my bicycle all over town when I was young. The brag.
Thank you. Is it- Do I need to wait,
I'll get in touch with you.
okay, before I'm ready to line them up, and my goal is to get it done before winter
You can
sets
go ahead and
in.
start all that.
We can go
I'll
ahead
have
and start?
I'll have
Okay.
paperwork for you and all that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Nice meeting
Yes,
you,
sir.
it's nice meeting you, can't wait to see it.
Does anyone have any comments? Anything to bring up that we didn't discuss? With that in mind, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. And is there a second? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
For the sake of those packets.
Yeah.
I read through all of them at lunch pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
I have those.
It was pretty much, there's a lot of work going on. We should pretty much